Hello, guys. What do you do when the most sophisticated enemy you will ever face, the most convincing liar you will ever know, is the voice inside your own head? The phone felt welded to his ear. The silence on the other end was a physical weight, pressing down, crushing the air from his lungs. When his sister Anya finally spoke, her voice was like ground glass. The deadline was noon, Alex. 1 email. That's all it was. I forwarded it to you every day this week. He saw it then, a ghost image in his mind's eye. The email, with its bold red subject line, urgent signature required. He had seen it. He had even thought, okay, this is it. I'll do it right after I watch this one last video. That was 3 days ago. I got busy, he mumbled. The lie was pathetic, a wet leaf trying to stop a flood. A laugh, brittle and sharp, cracked through the receiver. Busy? Alex, we're talking about Dad's company. Everything he built. It's gone, the bank just confirmed. They've seized the assets, all for a signature you were too busy to provide. He flinched. The voice in his head, that smooth, reasonable negotiator, immediately sprang to his defense. She's emotional. She doesn't understand the pressure you're under. It was a complicated form. You needed to be in the right headspace. Anya, I'm sorry. No, she cut him off, her voice dropping to a terrifying dead calm. You're not sorry. You're just inconvenienced. Don't call me again. The line went dead. He was left in the stale, greasy air of his apartment, the silence now filled with the roaring accusation of his own failure. He looked at the chaos around him, the fossilized pizza crusts, the mountains of clothes, the glowing monitor promising another easy escape. For years, the voice had been his closest advisor, a master strategist of comfort. It negotiated brilliant treaties with tomorrow, securing him fleeting moments of ease by trading away huge chunks of his future. And now, he stood in the ruins, realizing the voice had never been his ally. It was a traitor, and it had just burned his entire world down for the price of a few hours of distraction. Shame was a physical force, a magnetic pull toward his mattress. He stayed there for 2 days, the world shrinking to the stained sheets, and the glow of his phone until the battery died. The silence was absolute. On the 3rd day, a gnawing thirst forced him up. He shuffled to the kitchen, stepping over a book lying face down on the floor. He nudged it with his foot. The 5-second rule. He'd bought it months ago after seeing a video about it. Another thing he was going to get to. He picked it up. The premise was almost insultingly simple. The moment you feel an impulse to act, you have a 5-second window before your brain kills it. 5, 4, 4, 3, 2, 2, 1. Go. Move. Any physical movement. What a gimmick, the voice sneered. As if life is that simple. You need a real plan. But first, you're dehydrated. Just get some water and go back to bed. We can plan tomorrow. Alex looked at a single dirty fork on the counter, caked with dried egg yolk. It was disgusting. A monument to yesterday. His instinct was to wash it. Leave it, the voice insisted. It's 1 fork. It doesn't matter. Rest is what matters. He felt the familiar, heavy inertia, the siren song of the sofa. Then he thought of Anya's voice. He felt a flicker of something else. Defiance. He whispered it out loud. 5. He took a breath. 4. His muscles tensed, resisting. 3. It felt stupid. He was counting down to wash a fork. 2. He took a single step toward the sink. 1. He snatched the fork. The physical contact sent a jolt through his arm. He turned on the water, grabbed the sponge, and scrubbed the fork like he was trying to scour away the last 3 years of his life. His heart hammered against his ribs. It was just a fork. But the voice was silent, stunned by the sheer idiotic speed of the mutiny. He hadn't given it time to negotiate. He had just acted. It was the first honest thing he'd done all week. That fork was the first shot fired in a war fought over inches of territory. The battlefield was his own apartment. The enemy was the brilliant, treacherous lawyer in his skull. The alarm went off. 6,003 a.m. His first instinct, get up. The voice, smooth and quick, whoa, hold on. Your body is exhausted from stress. Pushing it now would be counterproductive. Hit snooze. It's the healthier option. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Alex threw his legs over the side of the bed. His feet hit the cold floor. The physical shock was enough. He was up. He stood there, swaying, his mind screaming at him for the betrayal. But he was standing. He used it for everything. The pile of trash by the door? You can get that on your way out later. Be more efficient. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. He grabbed the bag and took it out, his brain still formulating the argument for why it was a bad idea. He needed to update his resume. That's a huge task. You'll need a whole afternoon. You can't just start that now. Let's ease into the day. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. He opened his laptop. He didn't write the whole resume. He just wrote his name at the top of the page. It was ugly. It was a fight every single time. There was no soaring music, no motivational high. It was just a grim, repetitive, mechanical act of launching his body into motion before the voice could lade its prison of logic. The rejections for the jobs he applied for piled up. The voice loved this. See? It would hiss. All that effort for nothing. I was trying to protect you from this pain. But for the first time, the pain of rejection felt better than the numbness of regret. At least it was real. At least it meant he had entered the arena. A month later, an email from Anya appeared. No greeting, just a subject line, final chance. The body of the email explained that a small firm was willing to acquire their father's intellectual property and client contracts, but they needed a fully organized digital archive and business proposal. The deadline was in 1 week. The email ended with, "I cannot do this alone." The voice went into a 5-alarm fire drill. Abort. This is her guilt tripping you. It's an impossible task designed to make you fail so she can feel justified in her anger. If you get involved, you will not only fail, you will destroy the last shred of your father's legacy. It is safer for everyone if you do nothing. The logic was flawless. The fear was a cold, physical thing crawling up his spine. The urge to close the laptop, to walk away, to disappear, was overwhelming. This wasn't a fork. This was the whole war. He stared at the screen, his hands shaking. He thought about the clean kitchen behind him. He thought about the resume he'd sent out 10 minutes ago. Small, ugly victories. They weren't much, but they were his. He picked up his phone. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. He hit her number. "I'm on my way," he said, before the voice could even clear its throat. The office was a paper tomb. Years of neglect, piled high in dusty boxes. It was the physical manifestation of his own mind. For the first day, the sheer scale of the chaos was almost enough to prove the voice right. He felt helpless. But he didn't focus on the mountain. He focused on the first rock. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Pick up one file. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Open the scanner. He and Anya worked in strained silence at first. But as he methodically built systems, labeled folders, and turned chaos into order, she started watching him. Not with hope, but with a kind of baffled surprise. By day 4, they were a team, digging through the past, rebuilding something tangible from the mess. They finished the proposal with hours to spare. It was clean. It was powerful. And as they did the final review, Anya's face crumpled. Oh no, a calculation error. Deep in a source spreadsheet, a single transposed number was throwing off the entire 5-year projection. It was a fatal flaw. "There it is," the voice screamed in triumph. "The proof. You are fundamentally broken. You try, you fight, but your nature is to fail. It's fate. It's over. Surrender." Anya slumped in her chair. It's over. Alex stared at the screen. The voice was screaming. The exhaustion was a heavy blanket. But underneath it all, he heard a new sound. A quiet, steady ticking. 5, he whispered. Anya looked at him. "What?" 4, 3, 2, 1. He pulled the keyboard toward him. "Get me a coffee. We're not done." He dove into the labyrinth of cells and formulas. He worked for 3 straight hours, chasing the error back to its source. The voice threw every insult it had at him. He didn't fight it. He just let it scream while his fingers kept moving. He found the error. He corrected it. He reran the numbers. They were perfect. He hit send on the email at 4:17 a.m. He looked at Anya, asleep in a chair, then back at the quiet order of the office. He hadn't fixed his life. He hadn't erased his mistakes. The chasm with his sister would take more than 1 week to bridge. But he had faced the traitor in his skull, the one who built prisons out of logic and comfort, and he had won, not with a grand strategy, but with a stupid, simple countdown. He walked out into the cold morning air, his bones aching with a weariness that felt more satisfying than any rest he'd ever known. The voice was quiet, not gone, but quiet. It was listening now. He was finally in command. The war for your life is fought in 5-second increments. The victory isn't a trophy or an applause. It's the quiet, bone-deep exhaustion that comes from choosing to move when every part of you wants to stand still. If you felt that countdown, like, share, and subscribe. And don't forget to visit my YouTube channel to watch more interesting motivational, thriller, and fictional stories.